Hello, everybody. Welcome to On the Homefront. My name is John Murphy. Very happy to be sharing life with you on the radio today. You might be enjoying us here live at WILI AM 1400 or 95.3 on the FM. And by the way, give us a button on the car radio, would you? 95.3, I'd appreciate that. Also, we're on YouTube. All of our shows are there 24/7, so our guests have a chance to reach you all the time in case you happen to miss the live broadcast. We have a busy show today with 3 segments. We're going to start out with the Willimantic Library. There's a lot going on for the holidays into the new year. Also, we have an artist, Bill Dougal, with us. I've had Bill on the program a few times in the past. He's a performance artist. He's also an incredible caricature artist, and he also works with schools and education programs. So we'll talk to Bill about his work, and then also we'll conclude with a look at healthcare in Connecticut. So, Joseph White, welcome back to the program. It's good to have you here.
Good evening. It's great to be here.
Now, Joe is a librarian, and he's going to start out by running down the schedule of some of the events happening in the next few days. And then we're going to talk about their website, which is loaded with a lot of resources you might not know about. But the calendar's busy right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the holiday season. It's busy for everyone, us included. So, just giving a quick run through. Today, actually, we were hugely excited. We got to have the choir come over from the ACT School right across the street. They did a wonderful choral performance, truly incredible. They've been there. It's become an annual tradition, and this year they knocked it out of the park. So that was a blast. But coming up in the future, tomorrow night we've got a appearance from Old Saint Nick himself. So if any of the kiddos have been really wanting to go and sit on Santa's lap, so ask for special presents. That's true. He made it in. He came in, got cleared by the airport, air traffic control, all of that, made it safe and sound, and we're super excited to have him on the docket tomorrow. We've got Santa coming in, and then we're watching the Polar Express afterwards. So
that's awesome.
The other thing is, this Santa is free. I know sometimes some of Santa's appearances have to be monetized, sometimes, but this one, we're a library, we legally can't charge you money. So come on down, meet Santa, make the kids' day. It's going to be a blast. And then going from there, so that'll be tomorrow, going into next week already, it's Christmas. And post-Christmas, you have that week of school vacation, which means, while the kids are off of school, we're right at work. So on Tuesday, we have a winter scavenger hunt. Wednesday, we have a virtual reality Antarctic expedition. Thursday, we've got, it's an escape room. I'm always excited for that. Lisa does those, knocks it out of the park. And then Friday, we have a Pokemon tournament from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. All the specifics of that you can find on our website or on our Facebook. Website is willimanticlibrary.org. And then just search for Willimantic Library on Facebook and Instagram.
Now, I noticed virtual reality was in the mix here.
Yeah.
Can you describe a little bit about what this is like and how people are reacting? It's still a fairly new technology.
Definitely.
Folks are still getting used to it.
Yep.
What's it's been like for people when they play with it?
Sure. It's fun to see how quickly your brain sort of adjusts because it's both auditory, like you're getting the sound, you're getting the visuals, wherever your head turns, you see very quickly. It does a really good job of tricking your mind to thinking you're actually in the Arctic. And then we start throwing snowballs at you, and then it really gets, no, we're not we're not doing that. But no, it's a lot of fun, especially for...
Actually, they do. They don't tell you. They don't tell you.
Especially for younger kiddos jumping in. It's fun to see like their minds are blown by how incredible it is, and even me too. All the experiences are wild, and it's a good way to just get exposed to different things that you might not in your normal life, like going to Antarctica. So
indeed. All right, so these are some of the events, and if you go to the website, you can keep track all the way throughout the year. One thing I wanted to ask about is the library is an incredible resource. You may think it's easy to, cruise the world on your laptop and go to Wiki and go to Google and do the searching, but sometimes you've got to be specific and really drill down. And there's some databases and research supports that usually schools have to pay a fortune for, so faculty and students can access it if you have a topic and you're trying to really get down. So can you talk a little bit about what's available to help people with their own personal research?
Absolutely. Yeah, the resources available through our website it's truly astounding. I wish I had a list of all the specific ones in front of me, but it's everything from services that help you learn languages, that's Mango Languages there. There's all sorts of databases. One of my favorite, personally, is the let's see. I believe it's through America News is technically what it is, but you can see articles from newspapers across the country, including the Chronicle, going back 100 years.
Oh, fantastic.
So a lot of times it's a huge resource for me when someone calls in and is asking, I had a relative who used to live in Willimantic and they were at this address. Do you have any information on them? Being able to go in and just search names, search addresses, search times. You can set the parameters. That's a huge one and really, really fun for that personal historic research and for local historians looking to grab some more information.
Yeah. And then how about specialized publications, like somebody may have a hobby or they might be working in a field and you get journals, and sometimes your employer provides them, but they can be very pricey.
Yeah, definitely.
And I wonder how much that can work into the mix that you have according to certain larger databases.
Yeah, yep. Like I said, I don't have the specific ones in front of me, but in general, yeah, there's all sorts of different learning resources on there. There are, if you need to do specific trainings for a job, or even if you're just prepping for a job interview, LinkedIn Learning has access to thousands of different courses taught by professionals that do a really good job of introducing you to a concept and working you through so that when you talk about it, you can sound like you know what you're talking about, because you do. On top of that, there are sort of in library, not online physically, we have access to our own materials, along with we can get materials from around the state of Connecticut, any Connecticut Public Library. So if there's a specific book that you need to study, we don't have textbooks ourselves, but other places do, or training manuals.
Interlibrary.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. Honestly, if something isn't quickly findable on our website, give us a ring, and odds are we'll know how to get it into your hands.
See, I tell you, things to do. Now, a mobile hotspot.
Yeah.
You reacted. People are still learning about what that can do, and they're available. Can you talk about that's available? Something else you might not know about? It's a really cool way to connect.
Yeah, it's hugely. It's been a huge success, to be perfectly frank.
Yeah.
So much so that it's sometimes tough to get them, because as soon as they come back in the building, it's checked right back out. Because ultimately, the world that we live in is an interconnected world, and to engage in that world, you need access to the internet. So for folks who kiddos have to do homework online, but they don't have Wi-Fi themselves, and they're not able to come down to the library to use our Wi-Fi, you can bring one of these boxes home. It runs off of a cellular network, so all you do is you plug it into the wall so the battery doesn't die, and it makes a little mini Wi-Fi network for you to use.
Oh, within a certain distance?
Exactly, yep.
Oh, wow. So then your kids can do homework. If you have, for example, you have a bad broadband connection, or you have a problem and your service is going to take a week and a half, that kind of thing, right?
Exactly. Or like when a storm rips through and you lose your internet access, that can be a huge resource as well.
Like 2 days ago,
yes.
Right? Wow, that's incredible. Mobile hotspots. That's awesome. Now, the other thing is audio. The whole idea of audio books is blowing up. Podcasting.
Oh, yeah.
How can people find out, or how can they connect so they can enjoy all the new kinds of audio coming out?
Love it. Yeah, so we have an audiobook collection in-house. That's the physical CDs. So if you have a car that still has a CD player on it, and you're planning a drive up to, I don't know, Albany to see the family for the holidays, and you want to fill that time, that's a great way to do it. On top of that, we also have a couple of apps that you can access just using your library card, 100% free. There's Libby and Hoopla is the other one. And both of those give you access the same way that like a Spotify subscription or something like that would give you access to podcasts. These apps give you access to audiobooks that you can download right to your phone and play off either into headphones, on the phone, connecting it to a car, anything like that.
Wow. So you can download it and not be streaming all the time.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
That's great. Yeah. Now, for those of you that like books and reading, you might like to write. There is an opportunity there with the Willimantic Writers Group, and you might want to mention them and what they're up to.
Absolutely, yeah. The Writers Group is headed up by our library director, Daniel Paquette. He does a great job of really providing a safe and constructive place for writers, both new and old. Because for a lot of folks who are working on sort of these passion projects, what you're really looking for is a place to get feedback and a place where you can talk to other like-minded individuals to really sort of hone your craft and make sure that whether it's poetry, poetry or writing or short stories, long form, anything like that. It's a group of people who are giving each other feedback, sort of iron sharpening iron, or graphite sharpening graphite in the writing community, to help each other in that. So, like I said,
nails on blackboard.
There we go. Yeah.
The other side of the coin. So one more thing I wanted to know, by the way, in case you're on the radio or you're watching us, this is Joseph White from the Willimantic Public Library. He's a librarian there, part of the crew. There's been a lot of talk in the last half a year or so about censorship and other parts of the country where people are going after lots of books for different topics. And there's banned books week every year in the fall and September. How have things been there with the vibes of people enjoying the collection, having concerns? What's the let's call it zeitgeist?
Sure, definitely. Yeah, I mean that's a hot button topic for sure. Because a big part of our job as librarians is curating the collection. Right. So we want to ultimately have materials that people can use to make themselves better people. Like reading helps you broaden your horizons. And so we want to help to do that. So where to draw the line is the real question. And right. our default is that we want to provide services and not to censor. We're very anti-censorship. Yeah. Even if there's plenty of books in the library that I don't agree with what they say in there, but that doesn't mean that I have the right to kick them out of there. Because ultimately, if they're providing a service for the community, and if there are people who want to read them, it's our job to get them those books.
Yeah. And the other thing is to respect people's intelligence to think for themselves.
Absolutely. Yep.
But the other aspect of it is some of the stuff that gets the most press is the most sensational examples of very adult content. Somehow people think these are like 5-year-olds and they're getting very adult content that's maybe explicit that some parents freak out about.
Yeah.
How is that playing out? Because people look for that, and some of it's a matter of, well, it goes for a section for older kids.
Yeah.
Because I noticed on your website there's a section there for teens and another whole world for kids that are smaller. So that's one way to help people separate, right?
Definitely.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we have 2 floors. One of them is the children's department. One of them is the adult department. And so with that, we're very intentional about, like, where should the line be drawn in that. And then, like you said, we have basically different sections that are for different ages. So we have starting off with picture books, going up to like juvenile, like very basic readers, going to kind of more short story version of things, then going, I think there's a couple of steps in there I might be skipping, but eventually getting to like the young adult section.
The tweens,
yeah,
right?
There we are. And
young
then
adult YA.
Yep,
right,
yep.
Right.
And then you go downstairs, and that's the everything else, all the I don't know, biographies of John Adams and all that fun stuff. But yeah, so that's one way that we want to basically give you the ability to know what your kids are reading and provide a very solid sort of transition that as your child is learning and growing, they always have another step that they can go to. Of course, with the parents' input and with all of that.
You know, this kind of brings me back to the 1980s when there was a whole flap in the music industry over heavy metal and rock and roll, and Frank Zappa testified in Congress, and Dee Snider and John Denver. And on the surface, it was about helping parents identify adult material that's not meant for their kids, right?
Yeah.
And so I always had the idea that a proactive parent would be their own protector so that they're responsible. And if Junior sees something in a library shelf, well, you stay with them, and that might not be for them. But then it's a choice, right?
Definitely.
And this is where it gets personal, and this is where people in your field put their jobs on the line. It gets difficult. You want to respect people's feelings.
Yeah.
Some people that are very religious can be very strong about these things. Have you noticed any issues in the state, though, when you talk to partners? Because this is a network of its own around the state. Have you heard of any challenges or things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely individuals who take it upon themselves to find books that they don't like.
Absolutely.
And check them out on their library cards and never bring them back. So that's happened to us a few times. We had one person who went through and took out a number of like LGBTQ, IA+, sort of literature in our children's department. That was a few years back,
Right.
and sort of just disappeared it. And well, now his library card is locked up until he gets us those books back, which I don't think he will. So there are people who unfortunately take it upon themselves to do that. But like I said, and like you were saying, we want to provide basically a space for exploration, and we leave it up to the individual, and we leave it up to parents to help sort of guide that exploration. Like, for example, we don't allow 6-year-olds to just roam around in the children's department. They do have to be supervised. So, like a little kid isn't going to wander into the library and take down a random book and learn something that their parents would rather not them learn about for a few more years.
Of course.
They need to be supervised when they're in the children's department or if they're down in the adult department. But like I said, ultimately, we're very anti-censorship and pro basically giving you the resources.
Yeah. Well, we're very fortunate in our small state to have so many great libraries, and one of them is the Willimantic Public Library right here, 905 Main Street, where these folks hang out all the time. So, Joseph, I want to thank you for the good work you're doing all throughout the year to keep libraries and books alive and well.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.
I look forward to having you back. And they have a new child's librarian, Amanda, who's on staff. Maybe we'll have her back before the school year at some point.
That would be amazing.
That'd be nice. Also, the website again, willimanticlibrary.org. You can find it about the resources Joseph mentioned and all these events that he ran down earlier in the show. So we'll take a break for a few moments and come back with Bill Dougal. Don't go away. Okay, we're back on the home front. We're very happy to have you with us live on the radio, or perhaps you're watching us on YouTube. If you go to the WILI YouTube channel, all the 5 o'clock shows have their own playlists, so you can always catch their shows live, which is what we're doing now. It's the most fun for us. But the idea is to give our guests a chance to reach you anytime on your phone, on any device. So the idea is if you go to the WILI radio channel on YouTube, you get all the shows anytime. I'm very happy to share the studio again with Bill Dougal. I've had him on several times over the years. He's a very talented artist in our region. He does incredible caricatures. He produces educational materials for children. He's a musician, a performance artist. He wears many hats, and I'm happy to share the stage with him as we bring the year to a close. So, Bill, first of all, congratulations on making it through another year, 2023.
Thanks. Glad to be here. I'm glad you're here. I was thinking about the fact that it's great that we have an interviewer that keeps up on the culture and is interested enough to talk to people like me. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. It's mutual. That's why you're here, in fact, and that's why they're there. They're looking for this connection. We try to do our part. Now, part of why Bill is here is he's prepared some incredible entertainment with music and writing and creativity for children. And we're going to play some in a little while, and we're going to talk a little bit. But maybe, Bill, you could talk a bit about this project, because you've been working with kids for a long time in schools around the state. What led you to want to create some real takeaways like this?
Well, I've done some teaching, but I've collected, I'm mainly an artist, not as opposed to a teacher. I teach a bit, teach here and there. But being an artist, I've been in all facets of art. I worked at ad agencies as an art director. I've done every media at art school. They didn't let us pick a major. They said be 2D or 3D. So I did a little bit of everything: printmaking, sculpture, and painting, and I got exposed to all those and had the experience of them. I think that other people should as well. And I've been a professional illustrator and caricaturist and teacher, and I've learned some things along the way, and I like to share them.
Indeed. Cowboy Billy is one of Bill's incarnations, is a character that appears periodically.
That's a different hat.
I know. And also, the pony is inside. It's too cold to leave the pony outside, so it's here in the lobby. All respect to the ponies. But what was it that led you to actually transform your art into caricature? That's a very specialized area, because if you sit down with Bill and give him 10, 15 minutes, it's amazing how he can do something that will startle you. And somehow he's got a piece of your face that everything else is all around it, but there's something there that's you. And that's a specialty. What was your focus to do that kind of art compared to other kinds of regular portraits, that kind of stuff?
Well, even when I was young, I liked cartoons best, and I liked drawing people. And if you put portraits and cartoons together, you get caricature. There's a lot of artists. Not many like to do that. But I appreciate the spontaneity and the fact that you're like on the spot, and you got to benefit by the first impression and turn it out quickly. Yeah, there's no great valor in doing art quickly, but it sort of puts a spark in you.
It does. Something comes off that page from that spontaneity. And Bill comes to many art shows. He's here in town when they have special events around. Also, the website is dougalart.com. If you're a parent, there's some nice material for you that might help your kids have fun and learn a little bit. And maybe, Bill, you could set up one of your audio tracks and talk about it. It's called Songs About Art. That's the series, Songs About Art. So maybe talk about that, and then we'll hear one.
Yep, the title track is Time for Art. And that's a song, but it's also the name of this video series that I'm working on. I work on it every day. It's about 80% done.
Right.
I suspect we'll have about 8 half-hour episodes that'll have demos and music videos of these songs. And
well, the videos, if I could use a little imagination here, is it going to be like live camera with video inserts, or just cartoons, or a mix of everything?
Yep, it's a big mix.
Oh, cool.
Yep, there's shots of me singing the songs, but I've minimized that by covering me up with cartoon artwork that I did and shots of people making art, anything that's appropriate to the lyrics.
Righto. All right, so I guess we'll hear the first one now. It's called Time for Art.
It's time for art.
Time for Art with Art. We'll be back.
Hey, hey, it's time for art. We'll sing its praises. Okay, it's time to start. Put on your braces. Whether you like to do it or you like to view it, you may not be in the know. And if you're a pro, let's review it. Terrific tips and techniques. They're tools in the artist's bag of tricks. What steps do the artists go through when they do what they do? When it comes from the heart, art always amazes. When it's time for art, we'll draw smiles on our faces. Michelangelo and old Van Gogh, and on to the avant-garde. You might get inspired. Come on, it's time for art. From drawing to painting, value, shape, and line, realism, cubism, cartooning, play and graphic design. I say make time for art during your day. I know you've stuff to do, but art is important too. Hey, hey, it's time for art. We'll sing its praises. Okay, it's time to start. Put on your braces. It's always time for art.
All right, how about that? Time for Art. I like that kind of a crooning thing. It's really nice. Let's talk about how you put these together now. It was done locally in town. One of our great resources in our community is a guy named John Schwank. He's an awesome engineer, does lots of work with live music as well. So how did you and John conspire in the studio with this?
Well, there was a bunch of different steps. The first step was me coming up with the lyrics, and then inventing a tune that goes with the lyrics. Then I hashed them out with a guitar consultant, a guy who used to be in my band, Billy and the Buttons.
Oh, yes.
I did. I probably did 50 Zoom calls to sort of hash it out and get the chords. Then when I had the chords, then I gave them to a guy named Arthur Frost. And he didn't just do a guitar thing. He did full arrangements because he did the music digitally. and he's amazing. He's got layers. He's got oboes in there.
Incredible.
Whatever it needed, and you'll see there's a lot of variety in the types of arrangements that he did.
So they kind of shared files with you, and then John kind of put it all together and did the mixing and the leveling and everything?
Yeah, John was the last step. Well, actually, he was a step in the middle, because after I got the background music, then I went to John Schwenk, and I recorded proper vocals with John Schwenk, and then he mixed them together. And then we had the music. The next step is for them, the music, to be the soundtrack to the videos.
It sounds like a lot of fun. You know, sometimes I think about this, I think of Stan Freberg's creativity with his voices and his stuff. Now, what was the response to Volume 1? Because there are 2 volumes now. How did Volume 1 go down?
Well, they came out about the same time. I think November was Volume 1, December was Volume 2.
Okay.
When I had them both done, I decided to split them apart and issue both of them. And they're on all the streaming services. But
now, you know, when folks think about Pandora, Spotify, maybe like Bandcamp, do you do Bandcamp as well?
I don't think so.
What services do you mention in particular that you think are good?
Well, my digital distribution is done through CD Baby. They used to make my CDs.
Yep,
now they just do
distribution.
Distribution.
Right.
And they tell me they send it to all the streaming services.
Okay.
And I do see it on Spotify and even the YouTube as audio.
It's nice to see your work up there. To see the clicks once in a while, you get the hits. Because it's a fairly new environment when you think about the history of music, and there's a lot of people worried today about, you know, the large streaming services are making a fortune. They have to spend a lot of money to get the rights to the music, but a lot of the musicians are not getting much on their end when it streams. But, you know, when you stream it, I assume it's there as outreach to let people know about it. It's not that you're sitting at home counting the streams, because that's a real hard thing to do these days.
Yeah, I'm an artist. I can't count.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah, we get some streaming royalties, and I just hope I get lots of them.
Yes, indeed. All right, so we're going to do another song to give another example. This one is called Painting. So we'll take it away, Bill Dougal. Again, it's called Painting. Enjoy.
Yeah, we all love painting. Yeah, we all love painting. I know I do, hope you do too. Yeah, we all love painting. Pick some colors, mix them around. That's the best therapy I've found. Little kids, college kids, senior set. It's the best activity yet. You can study color theory till your eyes get blurry. You have choices, learn from courses or other sources. Paint something that we can see, or paint from memory. Paint something like a shad or a shed, or an abstract out of your head. Folks say I'm out of my head. Yeah, we all love painting. Yeah, we all love painting. No, I do, hope you do too. Yeah, we all love painting. Whether you're a kid or an adult, you can get a good result. Some say drawing is wonderful. I say painting's like a carnival. Finger paint is what babies use. Monet used a palette knife a lot. Elephants paint with their nose. Paint with a brush if that's what you got. Try impasto like Van Gogh. That's when the paint is thick. If you think thin's the way to go, watercolor's the thing to pick. Yeah, that's it, Jack. Yeah, we all love painting. Yeah, we all love painting. No, I do, hope you do too. Yeah, we all love painting. Start with a drawing, and when it's done, pick out some colors, that's a lot of fun. Paint on a canvas or on a board. paint on a wall if that's all you can afford. Mix nice colors on your palette or on a canvas while it's wet. Improvise, see what comes of it. Win a prize if the critics love it. You don't need an art degree. Experience is free. A set of watercolors won't cost a lot. Give it a shot. Why not? Yeah, we all love painting. 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 Some say my paintings are just pigments of my imagination. What do we all love? You guessed it, painting! Yeah!
All right, there you go. That was Painting, all right, from Bill Dougal. This is from his collection that he's got out 2 volumes, Songs About Art. And these are songs for young people. So, Bill, when you have the white page with no table of contents yet, what do you drill down to come up with topics when you're trying to relate to a younger audience with animation and music? How do you put stories together that they can get a handle on?
Well, I want to cover a lot of bases regarding art. You know, I don't want it just to be about one type of thing. So I'll say, drawing is one of the most important things about art. I think it's the backbone of art. So I said, okay, I need a drawing song. And I just sort of make lists of important points. And so there might be a verse about how you start and a verse about how a drawing could be a lead to a painting, but then again, it could be a drawing in its own right. I just think it out very thoroughly and make an outline, flesh out each verse. And so that song we just heard, Painting, was about media. I've got songs about other media like drawing and sculpture. I've got some songs that are inspirational, like You Can Do Art type of messages, and some that are...
If I was a parent with a little one, what do you think, and this is not to be too generic about, but what would be the best age group that would get this and have the most fun with it, do you think?
I'd say age 6 to 12.
6 to 12.
Yeah.
So what does that mean if I enjoy, here I am, I'm in the AARP generation. There you go, all ages. But 6 to 12, that's a good age. 5.
Yeah, I guess so. Although personally, I think it's good for adults. I think adults would like it just as much.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good cartoon. It works all around, right? So what was the biggest obstacle now? Because you're an independent artist. He's working on his own funding, and you have to juggle a lot of kind of budget things carefully because money flies out quickly when you're doing media work. What was your biggest challenge when you tried to orchestrate all this?
It's a very complex project. There's tons of things. I just keep coming up with more material. But I guess the biggest challenge is the parts where I had to get other people to help me. I'm a self-starter. I know how to make the material and make decisions along the way. But I had to get actors. It was very hard to get actors and kids. I did a shoot down at the library. So the people that had to help me were actors. Arthur Frost with the music, John Schwenk with the engineering, and Brian Ballas with the video.
All right. Well, I guess one thing that we'll do is mention the website again is dougalart.com. And we're going to try to get Bill back here maybe in the springtime or early summer when he's ready to show the videos. What we can do is try to talk about them and give you a link so you can see where the videos will be posted. And there'll be video versions, or will there be other material not related to the CDs? How's that going to mix?
Well, each episode is going to have...
half an hour, you said about?
A half hour. It'll have maybe 3 music videos, 3 demos, a bunch of fillers. I've got some artist interviews with people like Maggie Kendis, Pat Miller. But speaking of the videos, The videos are all done, the music videos for all 36 songs, but they're under wraps until the whole thing is done. But I do have 3 videos that are watchable. They're on my new YouTube channel called Art Edutainment Guy.
Okay.
Art Edutainment Guy. Have you heard that word, edutainment?
Yes, it's a combination of education and entertainment, one of those mashups, so that it's fun, but there's also something to digest afterwards.
Yep. So there's 3 music videos on that at the moment, and 3 demos, and a few other miscellaneous things.
Well, this is getting ambitious because I've been talking to you for several years, Bill. If you have all these half-hour shows, are you trying to figure out maybe a sponsor, some way to enlarge the base for this? Because that's a big investment to have that many episodes.
Right. Yeah, I did put a lot of money into the the music and the video, and anyway, I see it being on a streaming service. It'd be nice if it was on one of the big ones, but I don't have any great connections. But even if I don't get that, I'm going to put it on Amazon for streaming. My other series, Hatful of Fun, is on Amazon streaming. Although it's a little hard to find. When I get my remote and sit in front of my TV, I don't find it. But if you search for Hatful of Fun, Bill Dougal, Amazon TV, you'd find it. And someday you'll find Time for Art.
Yes, indeed. Okay, well, I wish you good luck in the year ahead, Bill. It's been great to have you back in the house. It's been a few months, and we'll look forward to having you back when... yeah, please.
I just dropped off some of my CDs at the Food Co-op and at Swiftwater's. If anybody wants to buy any locally, and of course, Willimantic Records.
Yep, okay, Willimantic Records, that's at the Bliss Marketplace, a couple of blocks away from here. The Willie Food Co-op, Swiftwater's, I think is 866. Songs About Art. I wish you great success with this, and I hope this work will open the door for more for you, Bill.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for being here, okay? Wish you a good and happy Christmas to you. All right, well, we're going to take a short break for some music from Tom Waits. This is from one of his early recordings in his early days when he was making the transition from being kind of a singer-songwriter in the folk roots, integrating blues, getting very into jazz, and very much into beat poetry. This one's a classic one. Think about driving on a rainy night in Main Street, Willimantic, and the rain is on the window blasting. The song is called Diamonds on My Windshield.
Diamonds on my windshield, tears from heaven, pulling into town on the interstate, pulling a steel train in the rain. Wind bites my cheek through the wind, fast flying, freeway driving always makes me sing. Dusted trying to change my tune, pulling up fast on the road, rolling restlessly, 24-hour moon. Wisconsin Ike with a cue ball head, wishing he's home in a Wisconsin bed. 15 feet of snow in the east, colder than a well digger's ass. And Oceanside, it ends the ride, San Clemente coming up. Sunday desperado slip by, check station closed and you cruise by with a driver. Orange driving, neon building, theaters filling to the brim. Slave girls in Hotspur, bucket full of sin. Metropolitan area, interchanging connections. Fly-by nights from Riverside, black and white plates, out of state, running a little late. Sailors jockey for the fast lane, 101 don't miss it. Rolling hills and concrete fields, broken line on your mind. The 8s go east and the 5s go north, and the merging exits back and forth. See a sign, you cross the line, signal with a blink. Radio's gone off the air and it gives you time to think. Ease it out and you creep across, intersection lights fuzz off. Hear the rumble as you fumble for a cigarette. Blazing through the neon jungle, remember someone that you met. One more block, the engine talks and whispers home at last. Whispers, 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 home at last, home at last.
Okay, hope you enjoyed that. That was Tom Waits with Diamonds on My Windshield. Well, for our next segment on the program, we're going to take a look at healthcare in Eastern Connecticut, and I'm going to repeat a segment from the program last week about changes to the healthcare system at Wyndham Hospital. It's been a big issue in our town for over 3 years now, and the Office of Healthcare Strategy has issued a report about what to do. They're considering opening a birthing unit in the area, and I've been doing a series of shows now for over a year and a half with the Wyndham Coalition to Save Our Healthcare, and we had Rosie Reyes and Jose Salas Blanco on last week. We're going to do just a segment that gives new people a background on the history of the situation and how we're leading up to a decision now about having a new birthing center or to have Wyndham Hospital figure out a new way to solve the problem. But they speak much better than I do right now, so I'm going to let Rose and Jose share some information with you. If you're a woman, if you're a mother-to-be, if you're a family member, you need to think about these things. But right now, we're going to continue our series looking at healthcare in Connecticut and how it's been restructured in recent years. And we're going to focus again today on the closing of the maternity unit several years ago at Wyndham Hospital and the impacts of that decision, and a recent decision by the Office of Healthcare Strategy about how to move forward with this debate and possibly creating a birthing center. And that's become very controversial, but that's part of the process underway. We've been covering it now for about 2 years, and I'm very happy to have two people here to continue the information sharing with you. So to my far right, I'm very happy to have back on the program today Rose Reyes. She's a member of the Wyndham Town Council in her third term with the Working Families Party. Rose, thank you for coming back to the studio again.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
And also with a return visit is Jose Salas Blanco from the Neighbor Fund. He was a founding member back in 2017, and they serve many people in the immigrant community coming here from all over the world, trying to make a new life in our region. This organization helps them find their way. So, Jose, thanks for having you as well.
Thank you for having me back and for opening up the space on your program for the Wyndham United to Save Our Healthcare Coalition.
That's right. We've had them on several times. Many people have been on from different partners. We'll continue that. But right now, I guess maybe one thing, Rose, you might do to start is talk about the initial reaction on what the OHS did and how that gives you maybe a strategy for the next steps.
Sure. The first thing we want to have clear is that this agreed settlement is a good faith effort on the Office of Health Strategy that in spite of what Hartford Healthcare Corporation thinks, that the particular components or benchmarks that were not met were going to be met in conjunction with additional work in this agreement, that including the search for a third party, independent third party birthing center agency, but they're looking for addressing the particular benchmarks that were not met, and they were out of the 12 benchmarks, 5 were applicable to them. 8 were applicable, but they didn't meet 5 of them, and that's part of the agreed settlement. So the reality is that things haven't been addressed, things haven't been resolved, and things are still closed while they get to do this search and rebuilding of an alternative service for this area, this small city and its region.
Well, you know, there's a really complicated history here, and trying to have it in a few minutes on the radio, we're trying to give people time to not rush. But from what I read from some material that Susan Johnson shared and some other people on the web, The hospital was allowed to wait about closing or not, and the idea of a birthing center as an alternative is being offered, and they're going to say, we'll see if this is possible and if it meets the need, and then we'll decide.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're still in between these options.
Exactly. In other words, we still don't have a viable labor and delivery unit, and
Right.
our delivering individuals will be either transported or they will self-transport to the local closest, which is at least 30 minutes away, given that it's only one route available to get to Bacchus Norwich and
Manchester Hospital.
That's right. Jose, your thoughts?
I think the issues that as a coalition we have raised, either as individuals advocating for equitable access and to healthcare, or as nonprofits too, local nonprofits here in town, those issues remain. Whether it's language barriers or people in our community already facing the barrier of having transportation
right, yeah.
available to them, even though there are things in place, programs in place to kind of help. It's not really the best option for the people in our community.
So when you talk, because I know you had a recent meeting of the coalition, as a team, so to speak, do you have any sense of certain people focusing on certain aspects of what's happening, kind of, because it's a huge thing to break into manageable pieces, right? Like anything, you got to break the mountain into pieces. Do you have a sense of how your team is attacking this and trying to move forward, at least with information collection, to help people have a better understanding? Because there's a big vacuum right now still.
For sure. Our strategy has been to first approach Office of Health Strategies and have very direct questioning about their rationale for making this kind of negotiated, agreed settlement, and negotiating the possibility, the reality of closing down, shuttering a delivery unit, given a good faith effort of meeting these benchmarks, which is very problematic for me. I mean, if they didn't meet them, they didn't meet them. They should not have been given a second, third chance. And also asking Office of Health Strategies how are they being true allies to a small city such as ours with our own vulnerabilities, in spite of the fact that there may be less than 200 births per year in the last 3 or 4 years. That doesn't negate the fact that we still need full services in the event of childbirth risks that are associated with working class families, for example, and also people who come from other country parts, So while we don't have that particular capacity, that threshold, we still need, it's like insurance. You want to have a full service, in front of you, so that in the event that you do need it, because you're likely to be needing it because of the status of things in life, it's good to know that it's there. And the idea that we are expected to, accommodate this idea of being transported. Now, in the agreement, they also added language that said, in the transport, they're allowed, the pregnant person can have a family member or another associate with them, or friend or family, whatever. That being said, it still blows your mind that you're going to be in an ambulance for 30 minutes, because that's how long it takes. 17 miles is 30 minutes with no traffic.
In good weather.
In good weather. Thank you, sir.
Indeed.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. So, I'm wondering, how is it that they can argue that in the rest of the state? How is it that in Connecticut, one of the richest states in this nation, is allowing this inequity to evolve, or just like take on a fast track to just decimate, districts of health needs? It's incredible.
We know we've had Representative Johnson here a few times too. And one thing that's really, it's hard to follow, but it's really important, and I've been trying to find the time to dig myself in the papers, is that the system is already been restructured in a way that goes so far beyond providing just one kind of service. Some hospitals in financial trouble may be sold, they may be reconfigured, assets may be sold off. Vulture capital is being involved, possibly as a way they call it private investment capital, but that's a different agenda than serving the public per se. So I guess what I'm trying to say in a long-winded way is with the information gap right now, folks have a hard time staying with the argument until they need the care. And until it hits you, a lot of people say, well, I have to see the flames. I just don't have to see the smoke, right? So right now, for the hospital, I know they won awards and they've been very well recognized for some incredible work with knee replacement surgery. Some units do very well. And I understand for any business, you can't do everything from A to Z, but you figure in your community, what are the basic human needs that the community has all the time? And you specialize in areas where maybe you can meet special needs, right? So they're doing very well with that kind of surgery, and I've heard good stories about that. But when hospitals decide what not to do anymore, that's the hard part. And when I hear safety mentioned as a reason for closing a unit, can you describe that? Because people wonder what it means to not have a safe unit in the first place.
Well, Mr. Salas, can you
You're smiling.
provide some details to that, because it boggles my mind.
Well, an article that that Rose has here with her, it does mention that these corporations, they are mentioning safety. But what does that really mean? Is that just an argument they're putting forward to justify cutting down a service? What type of studies are they referencing? To the average layperson, it might seem like a good argument, but what exactly do they mean? Is it something that they're saying just to save a couple dollars by cutting down a service? And then too, with transportation, if you're going to be transferred via ambulance or Lifestar helicopter to another hospital, who's really absorbing those costs? You as a patient, as a consumer, right? So yeah, it impacts our pockets
lucky,
too.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the helicopter rides are quite pricey from what I hear.
Yeah.
So there was a professor of public health policy at the University of Minnesota who was interviewed by the Connecticut Mirror in 2021, and she pretty much said that she didn't understand the relationship between patient safety and birth volume. She didn't see the correlation, which is the argument, one of the first front argument that HHC, Hartford Healthcare Corporation,
right,
is arguing for. And here's her quote: "The work that we've done looking at relationship between birth volume and quality of care in rural hospitals has shown a mixed bag. There are a lot of ways in which low-risk childbirth is very well done in low birth volume settings." So it doesn't warrant this argument, but it's the new word that healthcare corporations are using to scare you into thinking that you should let them do this plan, which is shrinking of services.
Yeah, this has come up in some of the press coverage since the OHS decision, and I know the idea of defining safety, in all good faith, the companies that own these businesses, they have to define safety so we understand. If you have a concern, help us understand what that means. If it's how many people per bed, how many doctors per patient, what's your formulas? And the more they explain, the more people will at least have a better understanding, because right now it seems to me it's still just not enough to be clear on. And that makes it harder to move ahead. The other question is the process that has been set up to explore this option of a birthing center. When they set that up, did they give them a timetable to get the job done? Because people have been waiting for years. With all good intention, some idea, well, let's get this done by blank.
I did not catch that. Did you, Jose? I mean, I was looking at the actually agreed settlement
I want to mention the
contract.
Connecticut Mirror is an online news source that's really good. They've been covering this.
Yeah.
And they've been also covering tenant unions, which is another show we're doing. So they'll have a lot of
Is
information.
it 30 days they need to report out?
It says here in the settlement, it's one of the points, it says commencing on 1 year from the date of this agreed settlement, Wyndham will report to OHS annually for 3 years of the following.
Oh, yeah.
The number of birthing people from WWHC who deliver it each year, the hospitals at which these individuals deliver, the method of transportation to/from the hospital for these individuals and their support persons, patients, socio-demographic information, including language, ethnicity, race, and age, and payer mix. So we as a coalition too believe that this information should already be had. One of those main reasons is the last birth, I believe, that occurred here in Wyndham was in June of 2020. It's been 3 years since then. So one would imagine that this information should already be at the disposal of this corporation, right? Of this health corporation. So that also leaves us wondering why wasn't this information received beforehand, before the settlement?
Well, let me take a break right now. In case you've just joined us, we're talking about health care in Eastern Connecticut with Rose Reyes and Jose Salas Blanco. We'll take a short break for a couple of messages and we'll come right back. Please stay with us. Okay, we're back here live on the Homefront this afternoon. Also, what you've been listening to is from last week's program focusing on healthcare in Eastern Connecticut. We'll continue this conversation next week with other new guests. And the second part of our conversation is about what's going to happen in December and January forward about the researching of the feasibility of a birthing unit. How will it be set up? How will it be staffed and paid for? So that's part of the process. And the people that we were talking to will be on the next segment, and they'll update the conversation and we'll track it all year. We'll also stay on top of the issue with tenant unions in the region as well. So I'm way over time this week. Thank you very much, Matt, for the extra time. We'll see you next week here on the Homefront. In the meantime, happy holidays, however you celebrate them. We send you our best, and we'll see you next time. Take care.